What about
Mhm.
negative habits, like bad habits, impulse, all those things? How should we deal with those? Is it a similar process? Is it different?
Similar, but a bit more action oriented, because all habits come from repetitive actions. Everything that we say, do, think repeatedly become a habit. And the moment it becomes a habit, it's kind of automatic program that we already install. So the moment it is triggered by the stimuli, is activated. So the way you just like, when you see someone that you don't like, you just get irritated automatically. Even that person doesn't do anything, just sitting right there breathing is enough to make you irritated, which doesn't make sense at all, right? And that's because that is the habit of the mind that we have already developed. So which means I have to consciously change the course of the action when I have been in contact with that trigger. And if I keep changing that direction repeatedly, it will create a new part of the habits or new part of the program that will be activated the moment I see the triggers. So that will change. Actually, there's a sign behind that. Habit is basically is created by two neurons in our brain. So whenever this neuron is triggered, it will send sort of connect to another neurons for action. So it become a part. And the more often you are triggered, the more often you will create the part and the part become more liquidated. And this, the moment that we created in our brain, is there for a lifetime. It doesn't get erased. That's the thing, it don't get erased. So you can never erase your old habit. You can only create a new part. And you can just need to make this new part become more liquidated than for the first one until automatically the neuron signal will jump to this one instead of this one.
That is very interesting, because I have been hearing that you can weaken that path, but now you're basically saying you have to replace it instead, so that it still weakens, but more because another one becomes stronger than it is what
Exactly.
you're
Yeah.
Interesting.
There's actually research with the people with the AA, the Alcoholic Associations, that even people who can be sober for like 10 years, but when they hit a really big bump until they can't solve it, it goes back to drinking because that old part is still there.
So basically means we have to be really careful with which bad habits or negative habits we fall into, because they may bite you in the ass.
Exactly. They can come back anytime, especially when the trigger is very strong. But it doesn't go away. But it means that if we become more mindful about what's going on, we can always stick to the new path.
Interesting. I have another question for you related to that, which is why you think that people these days mostly seek quick fixes to improve, get better, get rid of things. Why is that?
Well, in generally, humans love to have the quick fix because it's easy, though. But what my master will explain will be that now we live in the world of everything industrialized. So it's not like in the old days when you live in agricultural society and you don't have much facilities. You have to you learn to wait. You learn to wait for the season to come, for the rain to fall, for the crops to grow. So you cannot make things faster. But these days, we tend to rely so much on everything around us until we want the outcome to happen immediately, and life's getting more comfortable, and it create a new habit as well. Remember when I was a kid, I still using the phone with the dial. So I learned to be patient with that. But now it's like when I see the text, like have a little circle running, it would get frustrated already. It's like because all these technology around us make us into that habit of wanting the result immediately. So that means we just have to reverse the habit in order to learn to wait, because everything in life doesn't really go like that spontaneously. Just there are things that have to plant the seed and wait for it to grow.
Very interesting. I think, it makes a lot of sense in terms of everything around us speeding up. So we are trying to speed up as well, including when it comes to wellness and introspection, reflection.
Yeah, and that's tough because people confuse information, knowledge, skills, and wisdom. They are not the same. People tend to believe that information they search on the internet is everything. But as long as it does transfer into who you are, it will never become your wisdom. If you cannot practice it, it will never be your skill. So information is something that anyone can get, but wisdom and skills are individual.
Wisdom and skills. Yeah. How do you transform knowledge into wisdom?
that will be when you know something, then you have to put into your practice until you learn the craft of it. Just put in simple perspective. You can, this day, if you want to cook, you can just go to YouTube. There are a bunch of recipes, but it doesn't guarantee that your dish will taste good. How can you tell that my pinch of salt is the same as your pinch of salt? You just have to learn to get there more often with your hands, because skills come from knowledge plus practice.